Now I'm gonna talk about fear and love, about the confusion that there is in our society, in our world, about love as a sentiment, as an attachment to the emotional body, and love as a power of transformation that work only to extend God's will. So we all been raised by parents who've got a sentimental attached. That's how they met. So that's how they teach us what is love. It's the same thing. If you get married and you love somebody, then at some point you divorce or you separate. This is not love. This is only an attachment to an emotion that pleased you in the beginning, and now that doesn't please you. So you just change it until the ego is pleased again with that sort of sentiment. Love is not like that. Love is always working uh, where it needed to be installed, where there is none. For example, a very banal example, like Mother Teresa, for example, people like that who do work all their life in condition that is unthinkable for an emotional body because it's so difficult. They have to use love because it's the only way that they can go on in misery and suffering like that, because you end up being depressed and having a nervous breakdown. That's why so many people now in hospital, people who take care of people, have nervous breakdown, because when, even if it's good in the beginning, their will to work in those type of places, they use it as they start from a sentiment, a good sentiment. Then that sentiment is empty itself out. Love never empty itself out. Is an infinite sort of abundance. It comes from God, and God, it's what in His power, when He create us at His image, gave us the same power to extend this love. But this love is the opposite of fear. It's love that extends itself where there is none. So today, this morning, when I opened my computer, it's all start that conversation I'm having right now, and it's written. I put it on my Facebook wall uh, with somebody I knew that she was giving a link to the four agreement of Don Miguel Ruiz, and one of them is don't take anything personally. And I knew that person, so I said, "Can I ask you a question?" And she said, "Yes, you can." Then I did understand. How are you going to practice that agreement that say don't take anything personally? Then, of course, it all went down the lane like that because she went and she took it personally and said, "Who do you think you are to think that I'm not good like you?" Whatever. And it went like really bad until she defriended me on Facebook. And but she came out with all a resentment about me since the beginning of our relationship, which is like many years ago. And me, it was simply I wanted to see when people are finding words like that, if they are willing to practice it in their life. So I always say, one of the things I always say, that love is not a sentiment, it's not an emotion. It's a force, and few people get it because we all been teach, all learn that we are a sentiment. It's an body attachment, and when you die, I can assure you that the most difficult part to let go is all the emotion, because the emotional body with the cerebral body, the mental body, and the physical body are the three bodies that die, that they are here in that sort of dimension. And if we don't let go of those attachments, it's impossible to die in peace. So when using love as a force, somehow one start being living in a different place, because now it doesn't matter friend, family, or any attachment that you have emotionally towards somebody. Like stranger are basically simply people who don't have any emotional attachment to them. So we are in the separation. So once you start using love as a force, what receive that power that is using toward humanity, it doesn't matter. So Then the agreement of Don Miguel Ruiz, who said, don't take anything personally. For those people that you love, it's very difficult because you're starting being indifferent to your own emotional attachment, and love healing is healing those attachments. By healing them, they disappear, they go. Because once you are experiencing love as a force, it's within yourself that you're cultivating it. So peace and serenity and tranquility, it's within yourself. It doesn't need to be coming from outside, from people that you love and love you back. It's not a necessity anymore because you are filled with that love, and the expansion of that love, of what you see with your physical eyes, whatever, it's a plant, it's a mountain, it's a sunset, or it's an earthquake, or it's a child dying, it always transforms the view with your physical eyes of loving, of God's works, of God's will. It's always like that. It needs to be practiced though, because it's impossible for the mental, the brain, the emotional body to get that. It needs to be experienced, it needs to be practiced. Not by meditation, not by yoga, not by kindness, not by all those things. Simply by practicing that it's real, that it's happening like that. That if you're using your spirit and you let that spirit directing your brain and your physical sense, then you witness in front of you a different world. It's totally different. You see a loving world. It doesn't matter now if Jesus has been crucified. It doesn't matter if Pierre and Judas were like bad guys in the story, because they were necessary for the story that make the whole story of the Christ uh, express itself in the fear dimension. So once you see from the point of view of love as a force the story of Christ, you don't see anymore Christ, Jesus on the cross crucified, but you see him resurrected. And then you understand that death, it's only something possible from a view of fear, but from a view of love, as one spirit that we all are, it's impossible. So to come back to my friend this morning, who were linking the one of the agreement of Don Miguel Ruiz, don't take anything personally. Once you use love as a force, those emotional attachments, they all disappear. They are breaking themselves, because it doesn't matter where love is extending itself. Love is just naturally extending itself like a full vase, and it's just keep pouring up, and it doesn't matter who's receiving it. What matters is that you are using that power to do God's will, God's work. That's what is love. Is a force of miracle. And why do we call miracle? Because miracle are not something out of nowhere. Miracle are simply what it is when a human being is using the power of love as a force. Then, from the side of fear, it happened to be a miracle, but it's not. It's the most natural thing there is. Look at the sun, look at the star, look at the planet, look at a human being, look at the body, look at anything, look at a child, look at the earthquake, a tsunami. Those are all miracles. They're amazing. Then, depending of your perception from fear or from love, you understand the why of all those events. So love is a force, it's not a sentiment. People,